Well, what an innings that was from Rajasthan. At one time, it didn't look as if it was getting out of second gear. Certainly, just Buttler was not even in second. He was in first gear, just cruising along. Few runs coming from the other end, a start from Sanju Samson, and then he went absolutely ballistic towards the end. Look at that. 89 of 56, if you have a look at, you'd say he had a great day out. He was lucky. And he didn't get going till the 16th over, or the 17th almost, of the innings. Samson's start, Buttler's finish, little bit from Padikkal in the middle, and at the end, a very decent amount of runs on the board for Rajasthan after having been put into bat by Hardik Pandya. 188 for 6, target 189. Here we are on Cricbuzz Live. Before we go any further and say hello to both members of our panel, I'll go to one of them, the man who predicted 189. Spot on. That's the target, Ajay.
He's on mute.
It's the beginner's luck. First day here at English, and the last ball helped me, didn't it? It just went on till it got to almost to my score. I don't know whether they would be happy with this or not. Rajasthan, yes, it's a big score on board on an important game, but the positions that they were in, they would probably look at it and say, listen, we probably left a few runs behind.
They would, but at the end, the way Buttler started, Shaun, we were on Cricbuzz Combox saying Buttler's season has been first 7, magnificent, next 7, almost absent. Today, he sort of translated his season into number of overs. First part of the innings, nothing, sometimes striking it under 100, and then he was striking at 180, 190 towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he's capable, isn't he? He has a brilliant ability to strike. I suppose the big thing, and from a spectator's perspective, from a coaching perspective, from everyone's side, is when you get out after 38, after 39 deliveries, then that's when the team falls flat. If you are fortunate enough, and he was a bit fortunate today, a few things went his way, but when he's able to stay for another 20 deliveries and blast the ball like he did, I think he was 39 or 38 or something along those lines, and look at that, 89 or 56. So the strike rate looks fantastic. You've got 12 fours and 2 sixes there, and everything looks dandy. The problem would have been if he had got out, but he didn't, and it's been his season so far. The form continued with him, and everything seemed to favour him as he got to the back end there. And I think 188 is competitive. In that time I was watching, you almost got the feeling, you forget sometimes, the Kolkata experience over the years has been about the middle overs, the spinners coming on, dictating terms, ball not being able to hit out the ground, not sort of coming on. And when Rashid Khan was operating, that 9th, 10th and 11th over was just brilliant from them. Those 3 spinning overs meant that Rajasthan went basically nowhere. That was where it happened with that 6s. So they did brilliantly to pull things back and really squeeze. Unfortunately, the Buttler factor at the back end has made that they're going to have to chase something that's pretty formidable. I'm not saying it can't be done, but 188 when the pressure's on is not going to be that easy.
Staying on Buttler, Ajay, there was a previous match I was looking at, game number 13 against RCB. Buttler was, again, very similar. He was 7 of 17, then 8 of 22, just didn't get going. Finished with 70 of 47, batted till the end. He was not out. No fours, 6 sixes. Yes, the team didn't get to more than 169. They lost the game. But he just showed the value of staying till the end, even if you don't look like you had a bad start.
Yeah, and I think it was, those numbers you have, those are facts. There's no doubt. But there are times that you're 30 of 30 balls and, you look like you're struggling. You're trying to hit and you're not getting anything. But what we saw today from Buttler, at least what I saw, was, he wasn't trying to, get on with the game. You saw as a team they were playing. Samson was going, the way he wanted to play. Padikkal came in, he carried on. It was almost like the team had said to him that, you got to be there. Just make sure our batting's probably not as deep as we feel. So we need you to be there till a certain time. And as long as, Samson's around you or Devdutt Padikkal's around you, you don't need to take a chance. And you've got the ability to, up the tempo, as you said, that game, or there's another game in, I think, last year as well, that, he suddenly can change tempo. And I think that's why he's rated, so highly in this format, that it's not just one style of play where the opposition can, plan against you. So he was lucky today, but he made his luck. So the first 30, 40 balls, it wasn't that he had, he nicked one or somebody dropped him there. It was all at the end when the runs came. And, that's the case with anybody in the last 4 or 5 overs. I mean, when you're swinging your bat, there are chances that it goes to hand. Sometimes you were lucky. So I think he was in control. All of us watching, or people from outside, how we got used to seeing people and numbers, 30 balls. How can you be at 30? But I think the team and just Josh Buttler were pretty sure of what they were doing. And like Shaun said, over number 9, 10, 11 that Rashid Khan bowled, it almost seemed to me like the team had decided Rashid Khan means defense, nothing else that you need to do. And Buttler was playing in that period as well. So I think from team's point of view, I think they probably don't look at it that way, but we are looking at it saying there were two different sides. But teams probably looking and saying, look, we have a player who we can switch on and switch off. He did get lucky today.
39 of 38, and he finished with 50 of 18 balls. That's how impactful he was. But don't underestimate the contribution at the top of Sanju Samson, because whether you call it a struggle or whether you call it strategy, the fact is Buttler wasn't going anywhere. And at that stage, Shaun, it was vital for someone else to get going. And from ball 1, Sanju Samson started with a punch, a push, almost a nurdle for 6, if such a thing is possible.
Yeah, I mean, he was sensational. He is definitely key to this performance. To take the pressure off Buttler at that time, to strike the ball as well as he did, was just simply superb. You felt for him not going on to get his 50. But even his foot movement, it was almost like a Virender Sehwag kind of style innings. He just kept that front foot without going too far and just used the arms. But the timing and the striking, it was almost looked like they were playing on two different surfaces. One was like a concrete one where the ball was coming on brilliantly, and when Buttler was on strike, it was almost like something was stopping. But that's as good a striking and timing that I've seen from Samson in a long period of time.
And when he walked in, Ajay, I mean, not that they were in trouble, but the fact is they'd lost a wicket of the aggressive Yashasvi Jaiswal. Buttler, you could already see signs of couple of cover drives, but maybe not getting going. So despite that, captain comes out there, first ball for 6, and then keeps going.
Oh, Sanju Samson for the last 7-8 years, ever since I've watched him, it's the same. It doesn't make any difference. I mean, today we walked in at 11 for 1. Buttler had already hit a couple of boundaries. So that's why I say that it is the strategy of the team, because it wasn't that the team was struggling and Samson did something different. I think Samson enjoys this. I mean, this is the way he plays. Whether if you're in his side, then you are happy when he does well. But when he gets out, playing that same shot, 20 off, 10 balls, and then he gets out. So he's just carried on doing what he's done for the last 7-8 years. There are days that he gives you agony and says, why does he do this? He could carry on. But I think I'm beyond that. I'm not expecting anything more from Sanju Samson. When he comes in, he's always flowing. The first ball or the last ball that he gets out, there's no difference. Unlike a lot of players, they need time. And once they get in, then they are sure shot that they will take you through. That is something that you can't, rely on Sanju Samson anymore. I mean, I'm saying it from a point of view of watching 7-8 years, because he never seems to struggle. I don't think he even worries about what the team total is, what stage it is. Because today when he walked in, there was no need. 11 for 1, Buttler had already hit 2 fours. So it wasn't that he was defending Buttler. But what happened later with Buttler, I think, is because what Sanju Samson does. He's going to play like this. So the senior player, Buttler, has to play like that. And he looks bad. In numbers, Samson looks good, but Buttler looks worse. But for me, with the way I look at it, if you are part of that team, you would look at Buttler and say, listen, Buttler is doing what is required for the other guy. But to just pure class, there's no doubt. All of us over the years have been fans of Sanju Samson. And the only reason probably he's not being picked over and over for India is that you see that ability, but the best days are 40 today.
Now I'm going to give you another number. We talked about Buttler, comparison, first 38, next 18 balls. How about this one? 173 scored of 16 overs. Why do I say that? 4 overs, Shaun, of Rashid Khan went for 15. Didn't take a wicket, but 4 overs, 10 dot balls, none for 15. All the other bowlers disappeared, bar Hardik Pandya.
Yeah, 10 dot balls. I mean, an economy rate of 3.75 in a match like that is sensational. And I think the key to the Rashid Khan performance was the length he hit, the line. He didn't offer up anything to hit. And then he also bamboozled players. I mean, Buttler must have played for the different deliveries about 4 or 5 times where he didn't lay bat on ball. And I think that's what made it more impressive. You know, at the start of the season, Rashid was almost like he was offering up too many bad deliveries. You know, he was not his usual consistent self. But there's been talk, and the commentators were mentioning how he's really worked hard on trying to hit an area and almost doing target bowling for a period of time. And it's definitely paid dividends because he was brilliant today. There was no bad balls on offer. Everything was a question being asked. And it's just control of the variations was fantastic as well.
Ajay, we talk about paying respect, and we've seen it a bit with Sunil Narayan. You plan ahead, 4 overs, whatever it is, let him go from 16, 17. But this was what you don't always see in this 4 overs, 15 type spell, is he beat the bat so often in his 24 deliveries. How often would you see a spell like that where he goes wicketless?
Yeah, really. I mean, he comes in, does his job every day because, you know, the reason why probably are defending people are because what he can do. And today you're absolutely right. I mean, he beat the bat. And what was interesting to see that he beat the bat out the outside edge more than the inside edge. Generally, it's the inside edge that googlies or people don't read that. But today was the other way. And Buttler has struggled against him in the last few games as well. But I mean, just a question to both of you as well. I mean, the way I see it, is it a plan that all these teams already decide? Because the other day we saw a game where you didn't lose a single wicket. The team still only got to 205. Here we're talking of, you know, plus and minus. So it's almost like, you know, teams before they come out on the ground, they said, this player we're not going to hit at all, and this player we're going to go after him. Do you also get that feel? And I've got the feel that today Rashid Khan was almost like, no matter who's batting against him, look, we're not going to take a chance at all. We're just going to defend. He did bowl well. I'm not trying to take anything away. But from a bowler's point of view, I mean, or a batsman's point of view, when you're told you cannot go against somebody, then the bowler looks even better than he is. No,
I think what typified that, Shaun, for me was, whether you look at it from a technical perspective or not, was Shimron Hetmeyer, who very rarely has a first gear, had 3 copybook defensive strokes against Rashid. That summed it up for me.
And over number 17.
Yeah, I mean, we used to sometimes have a strategy against someone like a Murali. When you went to the subcontinent and he was turning it square, we always used to say, listen, just try and milk him for 3 or 4 and over. If he goes for 40, 45, you feel like you've done the job. And you did get that feeling. I mean, normally the left-handers are quite keen to take him on because sometimes he offers up something that they can hit. But I thought maybe even the lead was taken. You got a senior player in Buttler who was struggling as much as he was to pick him. Between overs, he could easily be saying, listen, let's just make sure we look after him. Let's not lose any wickets here and then make sure we 3 or 4 down, because the new batter is not going to have much of an option coming in as well. So it did seem like a strategy. And that's the value of having Rashid Khan in your team. You know, at the start of the tournament, you know that there's going to be 3 or 4 or 5 of these days where the opposition are going to say, listen, we're not going to go after him. And that's almost a banker of 4 overs for less than 5 and over.
Yeah, Alzari Joseph, remember, coming into the side in place of Lockie Ferguson, 2 overs, none for 27. Hardik Pandya had a few headaches in terms of trying to rotate his bowlers. But lessons learned for Sanju Samson's bowling unit, Ajay, going by the first 20 overs. They've spent 20 overs out there. How much have they learned in terms of how to defend this?
Look, I mean, they've batted, so they would have experienced what's happening there. You know, just as Alzari Joseph that you said, I mean, you know, you played him as a pure bowler. You held everything back. So, you know, at the top, he'd probably be more useful. I mean, I feel, you know, you didn't use him more than that 1 over. So, but, you know, Sanju Samson has a whole different bowling setup that he has. I mean, he's got Trent Bolt and Prasidh Krishna. You know, they bowl at the top. They're happy there. Ashwin has been brilliant this year. I mean, he's gone up and down, bowled at different stages. Chell, you know, is pretty similar. These are not bowlers who probably make so much difference with the condition. Ashwin and Chell, yes, of course, if conditions help, they, you know, get better like anyone else. But they're not conditioned bowlers. This bowling side is a pure bowling side, except for with McCoy. And I said in the morning as well, I think that's the key, because when the chase is on, it's probably going to be at the end. And he's probably the only specialist at the end. Otherwise, he can rotate the way he wants. He's got some class bowlers in his arsenal.
I think what they're going to have a look at is the length, though. They're going to be holding back length. I don't think they're going to be going too full too quickly. We saw Shami, he came back for that last over. He bowled 3 or 4 brilliant deliveries. They were very difficult to get away. The slow ball cutter then ended up going to the boundary. And then his last delivery, he thought, let me try and get the Yorker, and they missed it and disappeared. And Buttler's timing was so good against deliveries that were full. And that's why he almost took off at the back end. Anything that was over pitched. Whereas I think they'll try and hold their nerve as seamers at the back end the last 4 or 5 overs. They'll try and hit that length and see if the surface can just hold it up, which makes it more difficult to whack.
Key bowler for you when it comes to defending this total, because I'm not sure that Gujarat, looking at the total they have to chase, will be able to do a Rashid to say a Yuzvendra Chahal. They pretty much need to try and target everybody.
Yeah, I think there's their batting. I mean, the 3 and 4 haven't been their real strength, have they? Throughout the tournament, there's always just been little holes. So whatever time you get to operate in the middle there, they'll have to see if they can maybe squeeze things. You've got 2 left-handers in Matthew Wade and David Miller coming in, so Ashwin might be important in the middle if they hold him for that certain period. Or Chahal, but I mean, even their seamers, they want to be getting Bolt off to a good start. If he can try and pick up a wicket for them early, it would be vitally important.
Ajay, how nice is it for Gujarat to have 2 men who know this surface inside out in Kolkata? Shubman Gill, because of his time with the franchise, and Riddhiman Saha, because it's his backyard.
Yeah, he's grown up here, isn't he? Riddhiman and Shubham's played well. It's always nice to go back to a place where you'll have many happy memories because you'll have had bad days. You understand the conditions better, and I think they're the key as well. You get GT off to a good start and good. I don't mean by run rate. If they don't lose more than either of those guys still around at over number 10, no matter what the score is, they'll get to it. So
does that mean 1 for 1?
Yes, it means not for 1. I just was trying to stop Ajay there because the homeboy has gone back. It didn't last long for Riddhiman Saha. A beauty from Trent Bolt. We expected him to play a role. And before we wrap, I think a quick word on how much difference this is going to make in terms of the run chase, Shaun.
Yeah, I think for me, Bolt and Krishna at the top is key. They can really put a team under immense pressure. If they pick up 2, they've got 1 already. And it did seem like it was swinging around nicely. And that's when Trent Bolt's at his best. And so is Prashid Krishna. He gets that ball to nip around as well. So they could easily have Gujarat 2 down. That's a major blow to lose a wicket as quickly as that. And now they're going to have to fight hard to see what they can do in this power play.
All right, just one word answer from both of you. Ajay, pink or blue at this stage?
Runs on the board.
Yeah,
I'm still tickled pink. I thought pink at the start. I'm still tickled pink.
Yeah, well, I think it's 3 out of 3. I'm not going to defer for the sake of deferring. 3 out of 3 looks like runs on the board. Even before that wicket fell, it just looked nice and comfortable. So the panel here on Cricbuzz Live feels it's going to be Rajasthan. Well, they're both technically going to get on that flight to Ahmedabad. Rajasthan with smiles on their faces, knowing they can put their feet up till the final. And Gujarat, in all probability, will have to do it the hard way. They'll have to wait for the winner of Lucknow and Bangalore to see one more step if they want to make it to that final. That's all we have on Cricbuzz Live. We'll see you in the 10th over. Just how many more wickets will have fallen, or will they have tried to repair the ship? We'll see you then.